Welcome to Down and Dirty. Today we're going to be working on taking 37-inch Patagonia off our bead locks and installing 37-inch Toyos onto our bead locks. I've already done a few of them because I had to work some bugs out. It's the first time I've done this with this Harbor Freight tire carrier that I have. So I kind of worked through some things. There's actually some more changes I want to make to the tire carrier to make it easier to do this. I don't really have time right now. I have to get these tires changed. I have to take them tomorrow morning to get them balanced so I can get them back on the Jeep to go on a wheeling trip the next morning. So I'm kind of pushing for time right now. I'll explain as I go along some more changes I want to make to this tire carrier to make it easier, and some of the difficulties I've had, some of the things I've done, and some of the changes I've made so far to make it easier for myself to do this. So previously I installed the Patagonias doing the 5-gallon bucket setup on the floor, which is a pain in the butt. I did that and installed the pads, and it worked okay, I guess. It's actually a struggle, I think, with a bucket and being down on your knees doing it. I already had this tire carrier. I actually have it with a motorcycle adapter. I've done motorcycle tires on it for years. Didn't really think about it the first go around, so I thought about it this time when I wanted to change tires and go to a different style, different brand. So I'm working it out as we go along, and we're going to do that throughout this video. All right, let's get started. Okay. Get ready to pop off or break the bead on the rear side of the tire first. Here's what I was going to explain, a little something about this tire changer that needs modified. This thing was not designed for this large of a tire, this wide of a tire. This plate right here, I'm going to extend it up at least double the height, with 2 more holes in it, so I can get this up so it's horizontal, more horizontal. Because right now where I have it, all the way out here, I have less leverage pushing down. So if I can get this up where it's more horizontal, I can move this back to the rear hole or even the center hole, and then you get more leverage, and it will make it easier to push down on this bead. That's one of the modifications that still needs done to it that would really help this out. For now I'm getting by, and I just need to get by because I have to get these tires done. What I'm doing to help out this situation with these huge tires, trying to do this, is I push it down and put a block of wood in here to keep it from coming back up. And I'll move the tire around to get another bite on it. Yeah, it's time consuming, it's a pain in the butt. I think if I change the leverage point, it would go a lot faster and easier because you push on it a lot harder. But it's been working. And I already let the air out of this tire, and the valve core is out of it right now. You want to leave the valve core out so the tire can exhaust air out of it while you're going around doing this. So if you left the valve core in it, you wouldn't get anywhere. Before we're going farther, this is what we're after. This is the lip. See this little step here on the wheel? That step right there? That's what the bead is locked on, your rear bead. Helps keep it from popping off. We have to get it pushed past that. So all of this right here is already pushed past that. You just work your way around the wheel. Once you get it all pushed past that, you can just push down on this side of the tire. You can just push down on this and it'll push into the center portion of the rim to where you can take it off. So that's what we're working at doing right here, is breaking away this bead on the rear side of the tire to get past that lip all the way around. Once you get it all the way around, we can flip it over and take the tire off. Okay, it all went. That's what I'll do once I get it. Walk around on it, get it pushed all the way down so it's fully released and drops into the relief in the wheel. And then that's it for popping the rear bead off. Then we'll go to the next step. Okay, now we're going to remove the ring. This is the only time I will use the power tool, and I'm still going to do it very slow. I'm going to break these loose slowly. So I'll roll them slow out because there's dirt falling out behind there, even though I power wash these. Make sure it binds up, you don't tear up the threads. Okay, we have the ring all the way unbolted. I'll take it off. I take it off with all the bolts, and I take and dump it upside down on a piece of cardboard and get all the dirt, loose dirt knocked off, because there's a lot. If you play in the dirt, there will be. So this is all the dirt that fell out. Like I said, I really power washed these good before I even brought it in the shop, take these apart. But that's the buildup you get. I'm gonna take an air hose, blow this loose dirt off, and we'll clean it all off. And then I'll show you about the threaded inserts that are in your these threaded inserts that are in your aluminum wheel. So I see already I have one that backed out. I've had at least one back out on every wheel. That's why you want to be careful using air tools, removing your bolts. Okay, I'll probably apologize a few times throughout this video of how fast I'm moving, how fast I'm talking. I'm under a time crunch here to get these done, so kind of rushing through this video. But right here you see this insert. It backed out of the wheel. It's a steel insert that threads into the wheel, and you want to make sure they're all flush. Like that one there, make sure they're flush, screwed back in flush before you put your wheels back together. And actually I'll do that in the next step, because I'm going to take and clean the rest of this dirt off of here with a scuff pad. So go around and look for these, and I'll just use a screwdriver, and they just screw right back in. If they don't, screw them out and blow the dirt out that might have fallen in behind in the threads, and then they'll just screw right back in. It shouldn't be difficult at all to get them to go back down. You want to do this one right here. See, it's backed out. It's not down flush. I can turn it with my fingers. And I just take a screwdriver. It's not even as wide as the slot in there, but I just took it into one of the slots, screw it back down in, and that's it. Okay, now I'm going to take one of these Scotch-Brite pads. I actually have them in gray and red. I buy these by the box because I paint vehicles and parts, components, whatever. It's like the best thing to use to scuff down pre-painted items, products, whatever, before you paint. So I'm not going to push on this real hard. I'm not trying to scuff this to make it prep for paint, but it works great for knocking the dirt off. If you don't have something like this, or you don't want to buy a whole box of these like I do, you can go to a grocery store, and they'll sell what is a green pad that looks like this, attached to a sponge. I also have those here. I'll see if I can find one, and we'll show you real quick. But you can go buy those at any like grocery store or whatever, and it works just as well. So there's an insert I didn't get screwed down yet, and that you find that right away when you go around and do this. I had one insert that isn't all the way down, and just found that by going around and cleaning the dirt off of these. Make sure you get this as clean as possible all the way around. blow it off again. I try to do all this before I take the wheel all the way off, so I don't have any of this inside of the wheel or anything. And now I'm going to blow air in the valve stem without a core in it, because we need to pop this bead off the top where the bead lock was. There, it just popped off, so just blow air into it. You'll eventually get enough pressure build up. It'll just push this bead off, because there's really nothing holding it without the ring on it. But just trying to lift up and pop it off, it doesn't really want to come off by itself. Okay, so now we're going to get the tire off the wheel. So here's what we're looking at. If you look at your wheel, there's going to be normally a pretty deep recess in the wheel, somewhere between the front and the back, and that is where you want to get the lip of your tire into, because it gives you the most room to get the other portion of the tire over the front. And I'll show you. This lip right here is where I'm going to put the bead of the tire that I'm going to be holding in the back. Show you real quick. So I'm going to be lifting up the tire here to get this side of the tire in that groove. And this part of the tire here, which I have right now held up with a 2x4, is where I'm going to stick a tire iron in to get inside of it to pop it off of the wheel. Okay, I'm going to show you the best I can on this, but I have a special tire tool that I bought. It has a Delrin end on it. Same thing a bowling ball's made of, Delrin. You can buy this tool from Nomar. I'll put that in the description. The company, I use this for motorcycle tires. Works great for any kind of a tire. So I set that up in there so I have it handy. I also use one of these, Harbor Freight tire bar. And I'm going to have to hook that in first. And once I get that hooked in, I'll stick the other one in. And same time I use Windex, spray around it, makes it slippery, so it basically walks right off. Spray the Windex on there first. Okay, so you get your tire up in that groove. And you just push on it. When you get a gap in here, you got to shove this tire iron in that gap, like so. So I got that tire iron in there where we have a gap. We've got daylight coming through. Stick this Delrin end piece in here. Take this metal one out. If you don't want to use that metal one on there anymore, you have to, because it will mark up your wheel, so I use it as little as possible. But then you put this up against your center post and basically just walk back around it. I'm going to spray this again real quick. Make sure it's still wet. So it wants to slide. Just push this around, like so. And go back the other way. You just won't work it off. And that's it. That tire off the wheel. Oh, it's fun, wasn't it? Alright, so we're going to install our TPMS sensor here on our valve stem. Actually removed the ones that were put on the first set of tires. They were, I believe they were Schrader brand. There's only 1 out of 5 ever worked. So I'm gonna replace those with the factory Rubicons. It's just a torque screw. Threads into the end of the valve stem. Okay, time to tire on. Some of the things I use. Showed you that tire bar with a Delrin on it. This is a mixture of theirs by Nomar. You just mix it with water. And this is another product of theirs that's really nice lubricant for definitely for installing new tires. I don't use it so much to take them off. It's like a jelly, and I don't know, they say it's like vegetable base. Doesn't matter, it won't hurt rubber or anything. It dries up over time so it doesn't stay liquid. And I just take a rag and wipe that around the edge where we're going to have to put the tire on. And then I'll tend to put, I'll show you, we'll put some on the tire also. It just helps it slide on. Works better than the Windex. Windex is okay for some things, but this stuff is like, it's real slippery. And it takes a while for this to dry, where your Windex will evaporate real quick, so you put this on, it'll stay slick for you for a while, so it gives you time to work with it if you have trouble getting the tire on, which happens. So basically put it all the way around here. And now when we go to mount this tire, you want to watch that TPMS sensor. You don't want to put any pressure on it, bend it, damage it. So you want to keep the tire away from that TPMS sensor while you're trying to put it on. So basically we have our sensors right here. So I'm going to take the tire from this direction and shove it on over the wheel. So the part of the tire that's going to bite into this groove, like we did taking it off, is going to be on this side away from both valve stems. So neither one of them will interfere. It's just a dual valve stem wheel. And I'll hook the lip of the tire down in here and then shove it over that side. We'll put this stuff around this edge of the tire, the lip of the tire, the bead of the tire, to help it slide on. So I just shove it right on there. Typically don't go on too hard because this isn't a normal wheel bead lip like you would have on a standard wheel. But there's enough there, you have to force it over. And these things aren't light. Just gotta kind of kick it up there with your leg. And just shove it over. That's all there is to it. Some are harder than others. So now, what would you want? So this lip isn't going to drop in by itself. So for video purposes, I'm setting it a certain direction to make it easier for me to set the camera up, show you how I'm going to do this. But then again, we use some more of this and put it around this part of the bead that isn't down in the wheel. This part of it is in the wheel. And then we're going to work it around and get it all into that lip so we can put the bead lock on it. Okay, I got everything ready for the next step. Get this tire into that lip so the bead lock will go back on. So I took about half a dozen of our bolts, make sure all the dirt was blown out of them so they're nice and clean. Got fender washers here. I believe they're like a 1/2 inch size, larger than the bolt, but you just let them lay on there. I skipped 3 holes, put another one in. So every 4th hole, you want a bolt. I use 2 washers because these fender washers are thin, they bend easily. So here again, we'll go 4 holes, put one in, and then I'll run them down to where it just touches the tire. Don't put any pressure on the tire because you want this tire to still be able to float. It needs to work that way while you're forcing that side in. So don't tighten these down or it won't go that way and you'll be fighting it. All these are for is to keep this lip from popping out while you're popping that lip in. So now we'll just take a plastic mallet, not rubber, but you want like a lead shot type or a plastic mallet, and you just want to pound it. Right on this edge, you want to pound it out and down at the same time and it pops right in. As you work it around, you put more of these in so it doesn't pop back out. Trust me, I've learned the hard way. I've had one almost all the way in, and when I went to get the last little bit in, the other side popped completely out and I had to start all over. Not fun. A lot of work. All right, I'm to the point, this much of the lip is not in and it doesn't want to just easily drop in. So we'll go to the next step. Get 2 washers on here first. So right at the edge of where that lip is and in. But I'm not worried about that right now. It'll go in here in the next step. Okay, so right here's our next step to get this the rest of the way in. Right here, the tire bead is down in the groove. All around here, it's hanging out. It's not down inside. So we have to force it down inside. Best thing I found, this is PVC. Same thing as PVC pipe that you can buy. Water line, whatever you want to call it, that you glue together. You buy this in sheets. This is a 1/2 inch. I think I bought a piece of 12 by 12. I think off of Granger sells it. A lot of places sell it, and just I cut this piece out of it. And I'm going to use this to hammer that lip in. And then pound it down as you go around. You just hit it with this and it'll pop right in. And you just want to pound it down so it's seated. And this won't hurt your tire. And there, it's all the way in. One thing I found with these Toyos so far, like I said, I've already done, well, this is my 4th one. I've got 1 more to go to get all 5 done. But these actually went in easier than the Patagonias did. But I was doing the Patagonias on a bucket, so I don't know if that had anything to do with it. The Patagonias, I had a hard time getting this lip to want to go in and stay in. Had to do a lot more pounding, a lot more work to get that to happen. We want to make sure this bead lock is really clean. This backside over here is a lot of dirt. There's rubber on it. So again, I'm using a 3M Scotch-Brite pad. Won't hurt it at all, but it takes everything right off. We'll go all the way around the lip, around the edge. We'll get all this off so you make sure that you seat your tire good. Don't have any leaks. Tell you, I'm really happy with these bead locks because I ran these Patagonias for 6 months now. Airing them down, airing them back up, 6,000 miles on them, and they never leaked, ever. Never had any leakage out of them. I was real happy with this setup. Okay, so I have our bead lock all cleaned up real nice now. I actually took a wire brush, this part here that bites onto the tire. There's a lot of just dirt in there. Knock that dirt out of there. And make sure you're careful. Don't scratch the face of your bead lock rings. If they're pretty. Mine aren't, so it doesn't matter. Mine are rock rashed. Fill all of our bolts, rest of them, blew all the dirt out of them so there isn't any dirt in them. In the threads, I line up the ring. You have 2 KMCs on here. Your KMCs line up with your valve stems. I got silver anti-seize here. Some people say, some don't. I like to use it because I'm gonna be in a lot of water and mud. So I just put a dab, not a lot. This stuff gets all over. So seriously, I just like do, that's actually more than normal. Just a dab on the bolt threads, the start of the bolt threads. Because what that's gonna do, as soon as you start it, you do a threaded insert down there, it'll coat everything. This stuff goes a long ways. Get it on you, you'll find out how far it goes. It'll be silver from head to toe. Alright, got any C's on all the bolts? Okay, we'll wiggle this around, make sure everything is still lined up. Is lined up. You can tell whether they thread in or not. Should thread in easily. There we go, getting them threaded in. Once you get them started threaded in, the spring floats around, kind of just goes with them. So right now I'm not even snugging anything at all. I just want to make sure every bolt is starting. If you start snugging, you'll end up, by the time you're halfway around, everything will be bound up and they won't want to go in. T-handles are awesome for this. Makes very fast work of it. Now I've seen people use impact drivers doing this. I wouldn't if I were you. Okay, now this part. You want to torque this down evenly all the way around, and I'll show you as it starts going inside of the tire, there's a lip this is going to actually suck down inside the wheel or inside the tire, and you want to make sure it's going evenly as you're tightening it up. You don't want to get this ring so cocked because it's not going to bite down right on the tire. That grooved portion on the back I said I cleaned all the dirt out of, that actually bites into the tire to hold it on. So normally start at a KMC and go opposite. And just keep going around till you get everything where it starts snugging up. Now we're going to actually start tightening it up. Drawing it down, I should say. It's not actually going to be tight yet, but let's start drawing it down. And I still do the back and forth across. So here's where you're going to go like half turn. Over here, we're going to go and back, and back, and back. And just keep doing this all the way around multiple times. This is what we're looking for right here. See that right there? That step. Like here's the tire, the lip of the tire. This is the bead lock. I probably should have showed you when I set the bead lock up on the tire to start with. Maybe I'll do that on the next one and cut it into the video. But as I tighten this down, you're going to see this bead lock is going to be about 1/4 of an inch lower than this as it gets drawn down into the tire. So as you go around the tire, tightening this up like I am, you want to make sure that that's even all the time. And that's what you're looking for as we tighten this down. Okay, as you go around, you're not going too fast. Again, you got to make sure these rings, this ring, is going down evenly. So don't get going too fast. You got to make sure this ring is going down evenly. You got to watch this lip around here. This is harder for me to do recording it, because normally what I do, when I'm tightening this down, I'll walk around it in a circle. So I can tell that I'm right across all the time, not missing one. And I can watch that. I'm standing on one side because of the camera. I'm getting that side more than this side. If you get too far off, it's not going to seat right. Now, can you see there where it's getting down in? You can see the tire. See that lip from the tire where the bead lock is sinking down into it? We're only about maybe halfway there. Okay, we're getting about done. I'm starting to feel tight. Got my T-handle here is calibrated to about 10 foot-pounds. Snug them all down to that-ish. Okay, I think they all feel evenly torqued with a T-handle. We're going to get the torque wrench set up and we're going to start actually torquing them. Okay, we're actually going to torque these with a torque wrench. This is Armstrong brand. Got my Allen in there. I've got set 15 foot-pounds first. We'll go around this thing 3 times. We're going to do 15, then 20, and then same way we've been doing it. go till it clicks. That's a torque wrench. That's it. That wheel's done. Put the valve core back in it, fill it up with air, get the rear bead to pop on. Okay, that's one thing that's really nice about these wheels having 2 valve stems. Put air in it and check where you're at the whole time with I've got a digital gauge here, slime. Get enough air in here, the bottom bead is gonna pop, seat itself. There it goes. It's gonna put 28 pounds in these to start with. So this one's done. Set this one off the side and we'll grab the last one and be all done for the night. Hopefully be done before midnight. Okay, well that wraps up this video. Changing out 37s on bead locks using Harbor Freight tire changer. It's very helpful and very useful. Much better than doing the 5-gallon bucket deal. I actually have all of that recorded from when I did the Patagonias, but I haven't had time along with a lot of other videos that have never been edited and finished. May eventually finish that, so we'll have both on here so you can do a comparison. But yeah, the 5-gallon bucket thing is not enjoyable. If you're going to do much of this at all, I would suggest buying this tire changer. They don't cost that much at all. And makes it very helpful, much more easier, and a lot less stress on your back and your knees and your legs crawling around a 5-gallon bucket on the floor. And everything just flopping around on you. At least this is a little more stable, sturdy, easier to do. Okay, well that wraps up this video. Changing out 37-inch tires on bead lock wheels using the Harbor Freight tire changer. Thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, share. Take care. Appreciate y'all.